And welcome, oh, welcome everybody. I'm super excited to go through this. It is here. We have the first data slate of 11th edition. And right off the rip, I can tell you, I'm pretty happy with this thing, man. I think GW is showing real maturity in their growth as a competitive wargaming, company. So yes, the vast majority of the company is still from casual, the hobby side of the thing, but competitive has been growing, and they really have done quite a bit to improve the way they balance on, you know, competitive aspects of the gaming, and I love it. So there's a lot to talk about. We got faction packs that are updated. We've got points that are updated. We've got universal rules that are updated. We've got a lot of things that have been changed, and GW has shown that they are taking this seriously, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. I am very satisfied with it. There will be things that all of us are unsatisfied with. So, for example, on some of the balances, maybe they should have done a little bit more, and I'll just say it right now. Yeah, orcs probably should have been touched a little bit more heavily. They were tapped. They were knocked down, and it is significant. It will matter, not quite as much as it probably should have. So we'll just get that out of the way. Some of the other armies that were needed a little bit of help might have needed a little bit more help than what they received, but they did receive help. And so what I think GW is doing with this balance patch is that, with what they've shown with this status slate, is that they are willing to make smaller changes, especially early in the meta when people really honestly are still playing 10th edition and 11th edition. So let's just jump right into it. I'm really excited to see all of you lovely chads out here in the chat. Yeah, man, I'm reading it up right now. there's a lot of pretty fun things that people are saying. So I'm glad that you guys are excited about it. Let's talk about it, man. Let's see what we got here. So universal rules. These are basically reflective of what we saw in the Tacoma FAQ the other day, maybe from 2 weeks ago when that was released. So modifying stratagems cost. Rules that enable you to target a friendly unit with a stratagem for 0 CP, but do not specify the name of stratagem. Instead, just reduce the cost of that strat by 1 CP. This is basically the way it worked all of 10th edition. It now works this way as well. The next part is simply clarifying that if you do have a specific ability that allows you to reuse a named stratagem, you can still do that with your ability. This is basically exactly the same way that it worked in 10th. So if you have a Hexmark Destroyer who has the ability to overwatch, even if another unit in your army is already overwatched, he can still overwatch, right? Because it specifically calls out overwatch. But if you have a captain who has the ability to discount any stratagem, you can't use a stratagem twice in the same phase. That's effectively all that's saying. Now, the next one is if a stratagem has an effect that says the target can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 12 inches, or cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 12 inches, the effect is changed to say can only be selected as a target of ranged attack if the attacking model is within 18. So basically, it turns all of your low and up stratagems into low and up 18. Now, the reason why I think this is really profound is because we already have tons of access of effectively 12-inch loan up on all infantry beasts and swarms by utilizing the gone to ground and hidden rules. So you can basically get around all of this on a lot of units. You still can't get around it on mounted or vehicles, obviously. And then lastly, stratagems that add new units to your army if a stratagem has the effect of adding a new unit to your army that is identical to your destroyed unit at the following restriction. You can only use a stratagem once per game, once per battle. So this is the universal rule updates. There are other updates. So what we'll do is we'll go over to the event companion real fast, just so I can show you those. And then I'm going to jump right on into the points. I'm not going to get through every single faction pack in this video. I've got a couple ones that I'm going to pick out, and I'll do dedicated videos on them. But we'll talk a little bit about how some of these faction packs have changed as we get to all of the points. And by the way, guys, if you wouldn't mind, please go ahead and share this video with other people. Get some other people in the stream. Let's get some hype, man. We are freaking excited about what Games Workshop is doing, and it is a pretty awesome time to be a huge fan of Warhammer 40k. So let's look at this Warhammer Events Companion. Let's just make sure that pulls up onto my stream. And it's loading in. Give it a second. Here we go. All right, so look at that. We got some lovely lads. We got Mr. Mass Brofect in the chat with a $20 super chat. Bro, I love you so much. He says, were they afraid to hit anything too hard before WTC? They actually did do some cool things. So I'll just give you a preview of it. One cool thing they did is they changed the Green Tide detachment from a 2 DP to a 3 DP, which is actually pretty profound. They did the same thing in Tau. They made your Ret Cadre 3 DP instead of 2 DP. I actually think this is a much better approach than just dropping a nuclear bomb on the army, because it makes the problematic detachments, a little bit more investment in order to be able to take. So they actually did hit some things pretty hard. which I was happy with the way they did it though. They didn't go scorched earth nuke points. They targeted the things that were the actual problem, the abilities, which oftentimes is the case. Now, of course, sometimes points are the problems, but oftentimes it is the case that it's the other thing. All right, cool. So let's talk about the Warhammer Companion. There are a few profound changes on the maps. So take and hold versus purge, all three of those. Purge the foe versus disruption, all three of those, and then reconnaissance versus disruption. I'll briefly show you guys those in just a moment, but basically what they do is now all of those maps have 4 objectives in the center. I'm going to need a little bit of time to digest this and really form my opinion on exactly what this means. I know in the description what Games Workshop said, they said that's going to decrease Purge the Foe's power. I'm not totally sold on that yet. I'm gonna have to spend a little time with it before I agree that that is what the effect will actually be. But it is kind of cool that they're looking at how the maps function to actually balance scoring, and I do love that. It just means that once again they're taking this so much more seriously about actually balancing a competitive game, and I love it. I totally love it. They also clarify here in the Warhammer Event Companion that now you can only generate 1 bonus CP a turn. No more taking Azrael, getting a bonus CP, and discarding a card and getting another CP. You can't do that anymore. You do only generate 1 bonus CP battle round, which is really, really good. They also have a few FAQs in here that were clarified in the Tacoma FAQ, which are now get installed into the actual game. So, for the purposes of victory point scoring limits, is the end of the battle the same timing as the end of the 5th battle round? And they say no. If you score victory points at the end of the battle, that is in addition to the 15-point scoring cap. Now, this is really important. So, I was working with one of my clients. We had a coaching match this weekend, and this was a really profound lesson that we had in here. And I'm going to share it with you guys right now. So, sometimes people get really, really afraid when they see the score and they look at the score and say, oh, look, I'm down by 30 points in turn 2. And they want to give up or start doing, really, really risky behavior. But guys, this is not 10th edition. This is 11th edition. Let me frame this for you guys. If you score 0 points until battle round 4, you can still score minimum 70 points. That's crazy. And when I say can, you can score 70 points. If you have end of battle scoring in your particular disposition, you can score more than that. Let me repeat that. Because of the way that you can save cards and you can save your primaries, if you score 0 points until battle round 4, or until battle round 0 points up to battle round 4, then you score in 4 and 5, you can still get 70 victory points on the tabletop. 30 each turn, 15 from primary, 15 from secondary, plus the 10 for paint score, plus any extra you might have for end of battle scoring. That's wild. You have tons of time to make up point differentials in this game. It's okay to get behind early in the game, unlike in 10th edition where it wasn't. So have a little patience when you're playing Warhammer. That was just a little side. I know that's not the topic of this video, but I love you guys, and I need you to understand that. All right. When a mission action places an operation marker and applies a status, Decade, this is for the, I believe that is Disruption. It could be Reconnaissance. Does removing that operation marker also remove that status? The answer is yes. So basically just clarified a few things in here that's good quality of lives. Let me show you what some of these new maps look like. So the new Take and Hold or Purge the Foe are going to be split, which I find very, very interesting. I'm going to do a little more research on this, and I'll get some games on it, and I'll get some maps, and I'll get you guys a video out talking about the impact of this specifically. But yeah, so these are all now split maps, which I find cool, but I also find a little scary if I'm going to be entirely honest. It really makes it harder to stage in certain ways, I think. But we will figure out the impact of that later. Okay, enough event companion stuff. Let's get on to the meat and potatoes of all these changes. Let's talk about the points. Yes, the points. One amazing thing that I want to point out to you guys is that they changed the detachment points in addition to changing unit points. Now, we're going to have to dig through all the faction packs, and like I said, I'll do those on separate videos. We're not going to be here for 4 hours right now. But when they change the detachment points, that changes the viability of certain builds in a really, really cool way. I know when I first looked at the Tau changes, it's like, oh crap, Tau's a problem. They didn't get hit hardly at all. But then I looked at Ret Cadre. Ret Cadre is now 3 DP. It's no longer a 2 DP. And that's going to have a certain amount of impact that we're not really prepared to recognize right now. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. All right, so let's just start with the MFM. We'll take it from the top. Let's look at the Sisters. Now, Sisters have actually been doing pretty well. Their win rate is a little bit low, but their podiuming is actually quite decent. The first change we see is that Celestian Sacrosancts, they go up in points for the 3rd unit. I don't think this really has a big impact, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. You get a points buff on your Dominions, on your Hospitaller, on your Imaginifier, on your Immolator, on your Intransia Fray. I have no idea what Intransia Fray is, to be honest. I'm not going to front on that one. I know Junith Aruda. So all of these got huge points buffs. This is cool. This is actually very, very cool for Sisters of Battle. So even though the third Sacrosanct squad went up in cost, if you're taking Hospitalitors, you are still ahead if you're doing the Army of Faith with the 30 Sacrosancts. Sisters players should be quite pleased with that. Morven went up. That's totally justified. Morven is a complete monster. Repentia went down. I'm really, really happy to see this. Going down by 20 points for a 10 model squad is actually insane. I'm really curious to see how this affects the, what's it called? Perdition? The one where they just, the one that really wants the Repentia. I forgot the detachment name. You'll have to pardon me. I'm not a Sisters player. But I'm really curious to see how that impacts that detachment. It might be disgusting. And if you're a Sisters player, please let me know in the chat, like, if you have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm really, really curious about what that's going to do to it. In addition to that, I think we didn't see any changes. Oh, Bringers of Flame is now only 2 DP. Interesting, allowing them to mix it with their 1 DP detachments. Very, very cool. So Sisters, they definitely got a big points buff. Seraphim went down as well. That's a very profound points buff that Sisters of Battle got. That might have been a little much, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it just makes them actually a very, very solid army. And I'm looking forward to seeing more Sisters players on the tabletop. That's for sure, because I haven't actually gotten to play Sisters yet this edition. So I'm looking forward to seeing more people bring them. Great points buffs. Looking at the Adeptus Custodes. Now I've already previewed this one, and this one is it's like twist my arm, man. Just make me take Venatari. Like, okay. So Alea went down a few points. Totally fine. You're basically never seeing her. But now with the new Silent Sisters detachment being actually a really, really relevant 1 DP detachment, it's like, okay, maybe I'm really thinking about Alea now. The Rhino went down by 10 points, which is actually really, really good for quite a few builds. So taking a Rhino that has like a 3-up Fiona Pain against Psychic Attacks and Mortal Wounds is actually kind of interesting in a lot of places. They also give the 5-up Fiona Pain in Talons of the Emperor, so that's actually quite interesting. Wardens went down in points. This surprises me. So anyway, it's not like crazy. It's 10 points, but they did go down. A little bit of a surprise. Then we have the Venatari, went down by 10 and 20 respectively. This is awesome. This will actually be able to get Custodes the 10 to 15 extra points that they needed to be able to build the army that they wanted to build. I'm a big fan of Venatari. I love Venatari. They're definitely my favorite Custode unit. So that's awesome. My shield host with triple squads of Venatari is going places, people. All right. Now, the other really big shift that I saw here is the Might of the Morituri, which is the 1 DP, or 1 detachment point. Fuck, I think we need a better way to say that. It's the 1 point detachment, we'll say it that way, that used to be Purge the Foe is now Take and Hold, meaning I can apply Take and Hold wherever the heck I want to apply Take and Hold. I'm sorry, let me shift my screen for you guys. That is a really, really big deal, and I totally love it. Because now I can run my shield host as a take and hold army with triple rapid ingressing Venatari. Guys, I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love. That's very, very exciting. So I really like that they're doing this where they are now shifting our detachments dispositions as a form of balance. Very, very cool way of doing things. Like, extremely cool way of doing things. I'm actually going to make this a little more like that. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to the next one. So Sisters, positive. Custodes got a little bit of a buff. It was a little love buff. It wasn't like a crazy overwhelming one, but I don't really think they needed one. So that's cool. Let's look at the AdMech. Now, AdMech, from what I have been able to tell in like our testing games and stuff, AdMech has been good. And when I mean good, AdMech has been really, really good. So I'm quite curious to see what they've done here. And like I said, there'll be more stuff in the faction packs here, guys, but I'm not going to have time to go through all of them at noon 30 in the afternoon. We got another super chat from Mr. Mass Perfect, and he says the real question is, did they nerf the art in the rules books? Okay. All right, that's an inside joke, and you're cracking me up. We had a troll in the Discord who recently got banned for saying some dumb shit. So, so yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, cool. Let's get on into the AdMech. All right, so the Hastari Exterminators went down a few points. Cataphren Breachers went down in 6-man. That's only 10 points, so it's not the biggest deal, but okay, fair play. Iron Strider Ballistari went up for 3-man model squads. I love that they did it on the 3-man squads. I think that's probably the right place to do it because they weren't really a problem at 1 or 2, but when you get that critical mass of 3, it's just a little bit like, hey, shield thyself is what they're saying. So I think that's pretty cool. Cataphrons, Cerberus Raiders down, Cerberus Sulfurhounds down, Skitari Vanguard down by 5, Scorpius Dune Rider down by 10. Okay, so they got some points buffs, but nothing like super profound. I think when we dive into the faction pack, we might see some more stuff for the AdMech. I don't want to speak out of turn because I haven't gotten to dive into it. If you guys have seen anything crazy like that, you let me know, okay? All right, let's go back. Let's look at the Eldari's points. Now, Eldari have been one of those detachments that has, or armies that has been really struggling so far. Personally, I believe that the reason why they've been struggling has been they haven't adapted to 11th edition quite as much. I think players, a lot of the imbalances that we're seeing, I think really profoundly are due to the fact that a lot of people are still playing in 10th edition instead of 11th edition. They're trying to play this as if this was 10th edition 40k. So I'm curious to see how much they did. I can already see they got some nice points buffs here. 10 points on the Autarch, 10 points on the Way Leaper, 15 on the Avatar. Corsairs went down, Void Scar down, Farseer down, Farseer Skyrunners. Okay, so interesting. 5 points here, 10 points here. Honestly, at this point, they probably have enough that's going to get them just straight up another unit on the table, and that might be enough just to change everything. Warp Spiders going down is kind of wild to me. That unit is bonkers. Wave Serpent even down. Interesting. The Wind Riders went up a little bit. This makes sense because the Wind Rider host, which is extremely powerful right now. This is interesting. Wraith Knight goes down. Wow, man. A lot of things went down here. This is actually pretty profound. That's a lot of points buffs. Like a lot of points buffs. They didn't do any points buffs on really any of the aspect wearers, which is probably a good thing. Except for the Swooping Hawks. Shining Spears, I guess. All right. I'll get the foot out of my mouth. Now, I'm curious to see what this does. Is this a little too much? I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and just err on the side of I don't think so. I doubt it's too much. And I'm really excited to see how people do on Eldar. If you're an Eldar player out there, what are your thoughts? Oh, hey, Mass Profect, I'm going to make you a mod. Because you're awesome, and I love you. So let's just make you a mod. Boom, look at that. Boom, look at that. Now you're a mod, Mass Profect. If you want to post links, you could post links. Thanks for being sick and awesome and a great member of the community. We love you. Hey everybody, give rounds of applause to Mass Profect. He is now officially a mod. He's a awesome member of our community who really supports the channel, and we love him a lot. So there you go. All right, let's get back into talking about Warhammer. I'm gonna stop fanboying over my chat, and my supporters, because I love you guys. All right, Eldar, big points buffs. Astra Militarum. Now, this is hilarious. This is one of the funniest things in the world. I don't know if you guys paid attention to, like, the Reddit nonsense that we saw previously with Art of War. If you guys don't know the Art of War guys, the guys are awesome. Like, the vast majority of the people involved in Art of War are really cool, down-to-earth people. And, like, they're rock stars. And they had made a video talking about how they think Astra Militarum is actually pretty dang good in the game. And Reddit had a complete meltdown. And if you know anything about Reddit, Reddit by far and large is a cesspit of humanity. There are good people out there who are doing the Lord's work. But when Art of War was talking about at the highest level, the highest capacity of like players to be able to bring their army to bear, they said Astra Militarum was good. And the world melted down. Like, dude, Reddit started banning people for supporting Art of War in the chat. Like, if you said Art of War was good, the Redditors and the mods in the thread were banning people. So that was so funny. And then Art of War trolled them, which I love, and I'm really proud of them. Thank you for trolling lunatics. Okay, so it is true, though, that Astra Militarum had a very low win rate, but if you guys know my opinions, I think I don't really like to pay much attention to win rate, because I don't think it's particularly reflective of the potential strength of armies. I think it's reflective of like the average strength of the army, but but that's not necessarily the potential, which I think is much more important to do our balances for. But anyway, I found that hilarious, and I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. That was a really funny trolling. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's talk about it. Baneblade goes down in points. I actually love that. I would love to see Baneblades on the table, and I think at this points cost, they can do it, man. I think we might actually legit be able to see these guys, and that excites me. Cadian Command Squad down by 5. Transports went down. And this makes sense because on average your transports are so much worse in this edition. Like they're so much worse in this edition. Um, yeah, I think it's really relevant that we give a little shout out to them. That all right when we give them up a little bit of points buff. So if you want to do like mounted infantry, it's a little helpful now because you can save a lot of points on them because they're so much worse. Yarrick went down, a little surprise. All right, these are both still Beyblade. Castrican went down. That's a little surprising. Castrican were really, really good. But I guess it kind of coincides with the fact that like transport sucks. So a lot of times you're not wanting to run transports with infantry. Command squad. Lehman Russ commander down. Ooh. Lehman Russ demolisher down. Okay. And Tempesta squad went up for the third squad. Okay. Yeah, man, I'm here for it. I think all these are very reasonable changes. I hate that these Tempesta Scions went down. I think that's ludicrous. They're very, very good. But everything else, I love it. I love it. I think all these buffs are quite good. Now this is really interesting. Combined arms, which is already probably like the second best way to play them, went down to 2 DP. I'm gonna have to get with my Astra Militarum guys, and we're gonna have to do some research to see what this means. I don't know the army well enough right offhand to immediately comment on if one of the 1 DPs really has a good synergy with the combined arms. But I'll have to talk to Shetzel. We'll get him on stream and maybe later this week, and we'll see what he has to say about that. But if you're an Astro Militarum fan, I think you just need to be happy because you got significant points buffs around, and you did get a change to one of your strongest detachments to make it able to synergize with others. So that's pretty good, man. All right, let's look at the next one. We're getting close to the ones that I care about. Now, Black Templars. If you're a Black Templar player, say it. For once, be happy. For once in your lives, please be happy. You guys got points love. You got some points love. And Black Templars are doing great right now. If you guys haven't seen some of the cool Black Templars things that have been gone out, you've got some really, really strong builds. Like strong builds. Now, I know the overall win rate, but get out of your head. Stop looking at overall win rate. Look at the potentials of your armies. If you start thinking about the potentials of your armies, you're going to be much happier. I think I just got a little too excited and popped my mic. Sorry, guys. All right, so Grimaldus goes down by 10. Crusade Ancient down by 5 to a 40-point model. That's hilarious. Excrator went down by 10. I actually really like this because there's some cool things you can do with Excrators. Emperor's Champion down by 10. High Marshal Helbert down by 10. Right here, between these points, you've probably gained about 50 points over the course of an army. The third Marshal went up. Seems totally reasonable. The Rep X goes up by 10 points. This is pretty harsh. And it's also extra 10 points per heavy laser destroyer. This is actually probably a really big hit. Be happy about all this stuff, but I will join you. I think this was maybe a little too much of a hit. Although I will say, if you haven't played it, I'm going to give every single Black Templar player out there a list just to go fanboy over. Take Headhunters, right? Headhunters, you know, the tank detachment. And then what we're going to do is we are going to combine it with the Emperor's Champion detachment, unless that's been changed. Bum, bum, bum. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Pardon me. Oh, no. Did that get changed? Uh-oh. All right. Never mind. Ignore everything I just said because the combo I was going to tell you is now impossible. All right. Well, yeah, that rep exchange is kind of brutal. I think that's too heavy. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Well, let's do the next points. All right, Black Templars. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I was being a bit of a jerk, and I'm gonna eat a little crow. That was a pretty heavy hit on those rep X's, but all your characters going down, I think, is relevant. All right, let's talk about some Blood Angels points here. All right, so I don't see any points changes up top, which is probably fine because honestly, Blood Angels were feeling pretty good. Sanguinor not changing at all. I'm gonna open up his faction pack because I want to see if they changed his ability. I don't know if they did. If you guys know about the Sanguinor, if you know about him, let me know, please. Aggressor Squad. Okay, went down. This is kind of cool. I think this is true for all Space Marines. I think aggressors went down for everyone, which might make the aggressors a interesting choice, especially if you're running something like Ceramite Sentinels or even Wrath of the Rock. I actually think they might be very, very fascinating at the awesome T6. Drop Pod going down by 10, while it's not necessarily a Blood Angel specific thing, it is really interesting. At 60 points with the Drop Pod, like, that does honestly open up Stern Guard for most armies, which is kind of cool. Eradicators with Heavy Bolters up by 10, makes sense. And so that's going to be applied to all Space Marines. How about this? I'm going to leave these stuff alone. We'll get to those when we get to the when we actually get to Space Marines, and I'll talk about all those points because I don't want to just have to repeat myself every single time I talk about Space Marines. For Blood Angels specifically, though, I think it is worth pointing out Vanguard veterans. They do now have their damage 2 weapons, which is pretty cool, especially if you're running something like Liberator Assault Group. And if you're not running Liberator Assault Group, then I think you should, because I think Liberator Assault Group is just straight up the best around. So there we have. Okay, looking at these. Gladius Legacy of Grace is a 1DP still, no change there. Liberator Assault is 3DP, it is still taking hold, no problems. Stormlance is still 2, which is cool. That's cool that it's cool too. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Stormlance got a few changes in the faction pack as well. Purge the Foe is still Rage Curse Onslaught, blah, blah, blah. Angelic Coast is still 2. That's a little unfortunate that we didn't get changes there. Lost Brethren is 2. Wrath of the Doomed is still 1. The new Vengeful Host. This is the new Jump Pack detachment. It being taken hold. We can talk about this for a moment, I think. This is cool because you guys know my opinion. I really do think that Taken Hold is the strongest way to play Warhammer right now. You do have a natural weakness into priority assets, but that can be overcome. So one of the cool things about Taken Hold is that since you don't need any action monkeys at all, you can legit build a Purge the Foe list, but you don't have to go kill your opponents in turns 1 and 2, which is a really, really nice benefit to the way that we have to play the game. So just being able to add Taken Hold with that 1DP detachment is pretty useful. So I do think I like that quite a lot. All right, so as far as points are concerned, Blood Angels get basically no support, but the new Vanguard veterans are a big support for them, so the fact that those are now legal is indeed fascinating. We'll get to the Blood Angels faction pack later. Actually, I'll probably be doing a dedicated video on that. So I'll be doing dedicated videos for Dark Angels, for us Custodes, for Blood Angels, for Orcs, and I'll probably do a dedicated video for, like, I don't know, one other thing that's just really interesting. Just depends on what it is. Okay, Chaos Demons. How are we looking, Chaos Demons? Now, I do have a piece of information about Chaos Demons for you guys. Scintillating Legions Infernal Puppeteer is dead. That no longer works the way it previously did, which is good news. So you're not just going to auto-win the game with that, which is good, because that was kind of ludicrous. Okay, Blood Crushers going up slightly is totally reasonable. Those things were dirt cheap. Beast and Nurgle going up by 5 points for a solo model. Totally reasonable. Fluxmaster went down a little bit. Kairos Fate Weaver went up a little bit. Lords of Change went up. Good, because these things are bonkers in 11th edition, with Psychic keyword being so much stronger. Shalaxi Hellbrain going down. I actually think that, oh man, Legion of Excess, if you guys haven't seen, Legion of Excess is very powerful right now. Legion of Excess, what a lot of people are doing right now is they're running like 60 Daemonettes backed up by 2 or 3 keepers, and now maybe Shalaxi since she's that cheap. Yeah, it's very strong. It's a very, very powerful detachment. So just be on the lookout for it, because now you can stack your Legion of Excess with the, I think it's Lords of the War or Warptide Host, the one that gives advance and charge to battle line. It is very, very, very powerful. So Shalaxi Hellbrain going down is actually really, really strong for them. Okay, and all their attachments are fine. Yeah, Lords of the Warp, that's the one. Lords of the Warp, that's the one that you want to combine with Legion of Excess. And you can do it as Taken Hold, which is just bonkers strong. Yeah, Scintillating Legion. Infernal Puppeteer got a little bit cheaper, but also got way worse. So, long live that. Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights, I think the worst win rate in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what happened. Huntsmen and Stalkers went down points, and is that it? All right, you know what? Let's take a quick break from what we're doing, because I need to see the faction pack for Chaos Knights. Because if that's the only change they got, people are going to be flipping out. Let's just take 2 seconds and let's look at this together. Yeah. Let's just, I'm just going to go to the change log here. I see all that, because there were no points changes. Okay, make a stealth, melee tactic -1 to hit, Volkite Combustor now ignores cover. That's actually quite good on the abominants. Man, I don't. Dude, I don't see it. Did they just completely snub Chaos Knights? Stalkers and Mordok Huntsmen went slightly down. All right, if you're a Chaos Knights player in the chat, let me know. But that looks like it sucks. Let's see, Infernal Lance. Priority assets. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into it. This is an initial reaction here, but gotta be real with you. That doesn't feel good for Chaos Knights players. Normally, I'm not that sympathetic to people who complain about their armies not getting better, but like I would be a little bit sympathetic for Chaos Knights players on that one. So okay, fair play. Let's get back to the points changes here. CSM. Now I love CSM. I'm actually a really big fan of them. So I'm curious to see here. Abby goes up a little bit. Makes perfect sense. Abby's cracked right now. Giving a 4-up invulnerable save to like -1 to be wounded and 5-up Fiona Pain possessed is real good. Fellhammer, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Fellhammer is awesome. Accursed, go up for the 3rd unit. Cool, they don't want you running triple ACDC. Makes sense. Chaos Lord jump pack went down. Good, he was a little overcosted. Predators, fine. Terminator squad went down. Now, I think Chaos Terminators are already cracked, so that is awesome. Chosen went up a little bit. That makes sense, because a lot of people were running that big Masters of the Maelstrom brick with Huron, and it's just slapping. Dark Commune going up is, yeah, they really don't want you running triple ACDC. And then, whew, Defiler going up again. Wow. Okay. Defiler went up again. Wow. Ah. All right. Huron went up by 10. Oof, that's a lot. Masters went up by 10. Oh, that's a lot. Mutilators are just slowly continuing to decrease in cost as everyone recognizes that they're just terrible. Reeve Captain sucks. He went down. Ooh, dude, CSM got punched in the face hard. All right. Okay. This doesn't look good. But allow me to kind of pitch you guys on a detachment that everyone is kind of ignoring right now. And that detachment is going to be Nightmare Hunt. Nightmare Hunt is real good. Really good. I think you guys should probably spend a little time messing around with Nightmare Hunt. Just take it from me. The detachment can absolutely play. It does take a little bit of skill. You're not going to go out right out the gates and immediately start crushing with it, but it has very real potential. All the new battle swap mechanics being so much more dramatically powerful in the new edition. Just give it a whirl, and then I think Fellhammer is also cracked as well. You could also still be running a very cracked army in, what's it called? Creations of Io. Just, you're running Abaddon with everyone to give everyone a 4-up invulnerable save on top of all the beautiful stress that you have. But yeah, no, CSM got punched. I think they may have gotten punched a little bit too hard. Huron going up, and the Masters going up, and the Chosen going up, and the Defiler going up even more. I think that might be a little too much. Oof. Yeah, and if I'm reading chat right now, they're also saying that Defilers also lost full wound rerolls. Wow. Okay. All right. So we'll regroup. I've got some clients who are CSM players, so I'm gonna be putting my head down with them, and we're gonna be trying to figure out what to do here. So stay tuned, because I'll have some news for you. But all right, hearts out for you guys. Okay. Then we'll look at the Dark Angels. Now, the Dark Angels. Here's my prediction. I think Dark Angels are probably the best army in the game right now. The buffs that Dark Angels just got are kind of insane. Like, they're kind of wild. First off, Deathwing Knights, I know it says they went up, but they only went up on the 3rd unit. They effectively got a buff, because previously it was the first unit cost 240, and the second unit cost 260. Or it cost 250 or something like that. Now the first 2 units cost 240, so they effectively went down, which is good, or very powerful. Inner Circle Companions went down by 10 points, which is incredibly powerful. Land Speeder Vengeance went up. This makes sense. Land Speeder Vengeance are really strong right now. Lionel Johnson went down by another 20 points. Guys, why are we complaining about Lionel Johnson? Holy crap, the dude is cracked stat-wise. This guy is already unbelievable. This is a shocking change for me. The fact that he went down again. Dude, I'm gonna be really, really hard pressed not to be playing Dark Angels right now, especially since like they're one of my armies. Nephilim jet fighters, they went down. They also got an update to the to some of the flyers, so the flyers rules have now been updated in the faction pack. I can tell you that. Samael going down is insane, but I'll tell you the really, really, really insane one is the Ravenwing Command Squad. They won't go down, but in addition to that, they also gained the support keyword. So now I can attach them and Samael to a unit of, say, Outriders or whatever, and I can give them just go out and go forth and profit. And I'll even show you this one right here because this is actually kind of crazy. Sorry for skipping what we were doing, but I got to talk about this while my brain's on it because it's bonkers. Where is my Dark Angels? Dark Angels, Dark Angels, Dark Angels, Dark Angels, Dark Angels, Dark Angels. I got to show you this something here. How do I freaking miss it? Am I an idiot? Yeah, I'm an idiot. It was literally the very first one. All right. Samael Grandmaster of the Ravenwing. This unit has mobile. Yeah. So now he gives mobile to the entire unit. Yeah, that means you can be taking Samael with the Ravenwing Command Squad with Black Knights with Black Knights or Outriders in any detachment. The entire unit's gonna get mobile and advance a charge. Yeah, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a little too much. I think GW overbuffed this squad. And then when you go into some of the other things, which we're about to talk about, Company of Hunters, they got buffed on their strats as well. Whew. It was an absolute crazy. It's crazy how much that changed. Okay. So yeah, so there you have it, guys. Lions Blade Task Force also got a little cheaper on their stratagems. I'm gonna be spending some time, and I'm gonna have an entire video on Dark Angels, guys. But yeah, I think Dark Angels takes the cake now. I think they're gonna be at least one of the clear favorites for this balanced data slate. I think they were a little bit overdone. Just like I think Chaos Knights were definitely underdone. They should have. GW did not like Chaos Knights in this update. Dark Angels, they absolutely 1000% adored. Okay, let's talk about the Death Guard. Now, Death Guard is weird, man. I've been talking to Death Guard players for a bit. I played against them. We've been cooking on them. They're like right on the cuff of being really good and really bad. Like, I can't really quite figure out where to place them. Their Defilers also went up. I still think that's a little too much. Destral Terminators going down in cost for 6-mans, I think is probably the right move. I think this is a good shout for our Death Guard players. It makes sense. I like it. Mortarion going down by 10 points. I mean, it's 10 points. I think it's a relatively minuscule amount of points, but it could get you the extra like little wiggle room that you need. I'm on board for that. Yeah, honestly, this feels good. Just a couple targeted costs. Now that 6-man is a little bit cheaper, you can get yourself an extra 10 points. That might be able to get you a slightly different unit than you previously could. This is the type of changes that I like to see, because an army that has the ability to play, but maybe they're slightly underpowered, just give them a slight little buff. That's what I would like to see. All right, let me catch up with chat here for just a second. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, Sun Brolaire, he says, just checking what's the biggest change so far. I think the biggest change that I'm seeing so far is going to be Dark Angels are cracked. Now chat's telling me that Morty's rules were nerfed. If Morty's rules are nerfed, let's take a look. Here, let's all look together. Mortarion, where are we? That was just on Death Guard. So if I go here, Death Guard. Mortarion's rules are nerfed, huh? Let's go find the faction rules. Here we go. Mortarion Diseased Influence. Just after an enemy unit ends a normal move, it's within 8. I mean, that's just bringing it up to everyone else. Change 2. inflamed reprisal ability. In your opponent's shooting phase, when a friendly Death Guard unit within 6 inches of this model is selected as the target of an attack, this model can use this ability. If it does, after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, that Death Guard unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. But when resolving those attacks, worsen the ballistic skill of the attack by 1, and it can only target the enemy unit. Yeah, that is a little bit of a nerf. I'm not sure if that's the biggest deal. I think I'd rather have 10 points cheaper than have this ability, to be honest with you. Maybe I could be wrong. I might be speaking out of turn there. But okay, yeah, he definitely got nerfed a little bit. And you should always see your points reflection when that happens. All right. Cool, let's go on to the next one. We are going to have Death Watch. I'm actually really excited to see Death Watch. Okay, so no changes in points to the Death Watch, guys. Yeah, this is all just the Marine stuff. We'll talk about the Marine when it happens. Yeah. Black Spear Task Force is Purge. Yeah. Oh. Interesting. Interesting. Black Spear Task Force being Purge is actually a dramatic buff to Death Watch. Whoa. Shout out. Shout out. GW. This is a really interesting change. Giving Black Spear Purge is a really big buff because that's the way that Black Spear wants to be playing. I'm here for it, man. I like that. That is a cool way to handle things. They didn't go the points route. They just went. That's sick, man. All right, GW. I can feel you there. Let's look at Drukhari. Drukhari were one of the absolute top detachments or armies at the beginning of the edition. Of course, we've only been out for a month anyway. So let's just see. I don't really see any changes, which I think is fine because they've also dropped off in win rate the last 2 weeks. Okay. All right, so no real changes here, at least. If we dug into the faction pack, perhaps we would. I know Scari's gonna have some stuff to say about that, so I'm curious to hear what he has to say about it because I'm not like a Drukhari specialist. We've got a lot to say about the Emperor's Children, though. All right, Rhino goes down. They actually really like this. Defiler goes up significantly. They don't like that. Fulgrim goes down. Listen, I think Fulgrim's good, especially since he's one of the only units in the game right now that gets to keep the -1 to hit and -1 ballistic skill from benefit of cover. I think Fulgrim is actually really good now. I know people are gonna say I'm psychopath, but I'm not. I'm right. Lucius at 120 is insane. He's so good at 120. Having those hyper durable lone op characters, oh my gosh, it just gives you the win against, or doesn't, all right, it doesn't give you the win, but it just sets you up to have a big victory against Purge the Foe list. Hey, we got Pirate Panda. He says, welcome to Grots and Gits. He has signed up on the YouTube. My man, appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Love you a lot. Okay, Sorcerer went down. Mauler Fiend went down. Shilaxi, yep, that's a big help. And there was an upgrade here. Frenzitos is now Reconnaissance. Spectacle of Slaughter. Okay, that was updated to Disruption. Interesting. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Cautery. Yeah, Cautery's been changed to priority assets. That actually really this actually hits EC pretty hard. But I think these points changes and the fact that, yeah, I think these points changes are overall quite positive. I think they're still going to keep 1 Defiler, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, most EC players are still going to take 1 Defiler. Having a few points here on Lucius, a few points potentially if you want to take Fulgrim, making Fulgrim even more viable is interesting. I don't think this is necessarily bad changes. They might not be the happiest about all of this, but I think EC is looking fine. And I've got a few guys who are running EC as well. Okay. Yeah, Epic, awesome. No, you're correct. We are going down the list. We haven't gotten to Necrons or Orcs, and I'm not doing faction packs in this live. I'll be doing dedicated videos for all the faction packs. So I'll definitely have a dedicated video out for Orcs for you guys probably later today. That might be maybe tomorrow, but we'll see. I should be able to get it out today if time is willing. All right, GSC Aberrants went down. That's significant. Acolytes with Hand Flamers. Oh goody, those went down because they need to be cheaper. Jackals going down, blah, blah, blah. Hybrid Metamorphs, okay. None of this really matters all that much. I think the aberrance going down is significant enough that that is a really big buff to the Biosynctic Brood Surge detachment. I think that's actually is quite relevant. Um, okay, fair. Cool. Yep. GSC players should be happy. Like the 10 points here and there, probably not the biggest deal, but this is a big deal on the aberrants. It actually changes the way that they can play. Everything else is like maybe you get an extra unit in the army of a army with like infinite units, but this is actually relatively impactful. And GSC seems good for me. To me, let's talk about the Grey Knights. Terminators get even cheaper, guys. Listen, if you are not spamming your Terminators in this edition, trust me, Terminators are cracked. They're cracked. And please, if you're hanging out with me in the chat, I'd love you here. Please hit the like button and share with your friends if you don't mind. If you would, that really helps the channel grow. So appreciate you all. You guys rock, and I love you hanging out with me. But yeah, so Grey Knights. Terminators are so good in this edition. Grey Knight Terminators are even better because they're going to be OC3 with the regenerating ability. This is, listen, you can practically get Lone Op 12 on any unit in the army because they're all basically infantry. I mean, obviously, if you're a vehicle, you're not infantry. But the ones that are infantry can all get effectively Lone Up by utilizing the Gone to Ground rule. You can control where your opponent has to shoot you from. And people do not like fighting Terminator bodies in melee. It's just a really bad trade 9 times out of 10. Voltus going down is really, really good because although I would be curious to see if his -1 to hit ability got changed. I'd be willing to bet it probably did. That's probably why he went down. I don't know. I haven't checked. Strike squads also went down a little bit. Okay. And Warpbane Task Force went down to Take and Hold. Now, interestingly enough, even though I think Take and Hold is the strongest attachment, I think Take and Hold is not what Warpbane wants to be doing, because Warpbane really wants to be... Well, Grey Knights in general don't want to be doing Take and Hold in most scenarios, especially not with Warpbane. Now, if you're running one of your Terminator detachments, though, I think you're probably happy with it, but not necessarily in Warpbane. So I think this actually might be a little bit of a nerf. But Terminators going down is actually incredible. All right. Imperial Agents, dude. All right, let's look at it. I wasn't going to, but let's look at it. Eversor went down. Okay. All right. The Eversor Assassin is one of the most underrated models in the entire game right now. I've got a dedicated video to him coming out. Stay tuned. But the short and narrow of it is the Eversor Assassin basically guarantees that you win if you're a Purge player. So stay tuned for that video. It's bonkers. Green Knight Terminator Squad going down in an Imperial Agents Force. Super cool. All this stuff is fine. Now, as an ally, Eversor also went down. That's huge. Okay, so just so you know, I'm probably just taking Eversor in all my Imperial armies now. If I'm playing Purge the Foe, I'm 100% taking him. Grey Knight Terminator Squad for 5 models with OC3 and regenerating. When I can stack it with Gone to Ground, this is an ally that I'm probably taking in most of my Adeptus Custodes armies. Like, I'm just doing that. Yeah, that's really, really strong, actually. Okay. I don't care about any of this stuff. This stuff is completely... The detachments don't matter because I would only look at these things as allies. But an Eversor and a Grey Knight Terminator Squad as allies in a Space Marine army or something like that, that's something that you guys seriously need to be considering if you haven't considered it. Let's do the Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights have a really strong build right now where they're doing the one... I forgot what it's called, but you draw the lines between the terrain and you get ignore hit modifiers and sustained hits if you're on the defensive line. It's a very, very powerful build. I'm curious to see how they're dealing with it. Castellan went up in cost. You know, I've played against this several times, but I've been playing Orcs, which hard counter IK, so my opinion is probably a little tarnished on this one. So admittedly, I'm just not going to talk too much about it. I'm just going to say it what it is. They went up in cost. It's a good unit. I didn't think it was that good, but I was playing an army that counters it, so maybe it is too good. So maybe the points cost is justified. Maybe. I don't actually know. Gate Warden Knights, that's the name of the detachment. Okay. So that's really the only change. And Dominus Foe Breakers went up to priority assets. So they really only have one way to get Purge the Foe, which that is probably a pretty cool way to change them. I love the fact that they can just change the dispositions instead of having to like nuke armies, because that changes the way the army has to play. I love that. I think that's great. Although I think honestly Knights in PA is probably better than in Purge. Purge really just forced them to go too hard too early. Force them to go too hard, too early. Okay. League's voting. Let's talk about the Space Dwarves. Barrick Sternbrow. Bergie. Bergie went down by 10. Good. Bergie needed to go down by 10. I want to see Burry. Sagitar goes up for the 4th cost. All right, so points are basically standard. Some tiny points on characters, but no real big change, which is probably fine. All right. And no real changes to any of their detachments. Great. Looks good to me, man. I mean, I think, honestly, Votan have felt like they're in a really good position for me. Let's look at this at the Nazi robots from space. We have the horrifying guys here. Okay. Let's talk about the Crons. Canoptic Reanimator up by 5. Chrono down by 10. Great. I think that's fine. Chronomancer's really good. I think I'd be willing to bet that they also changed his ability, so he's no longer -1 to be hit. DDA up goes by 10 points. See, this is surprising to me that they're putting long-range shooting units up in cost. Like, I've just felt like this has been such a good meta for infantry that doesn't want to get shot by long-range shooting because of the hidden keyword. Maybe well, it's not maybe. I know people just disagree with me in general, but I've just felt so good moving infantry and squishy stuff up the board. I'm so surprised they're increasing the cost of a lot of the long-range shooting out here. Locust Destroyers go up in the 6-man. Fair. Locust Heavy Destroyers go up in the 3-man. Fine. Necrosaur went up by 10. This is surprising to me because I think, honestly, at this point, Necrons probably end up dropping him. Since his fight first isn't nearly as good, his ability doesn't buff the Satan. I think that most people are probably going to be dropping him, so I'm surprised that he went up. Scorpic Lord up for his 3rd model. That's fine. King up by 20. Tesseract Vaults. Yeah, they better go up. Tesseract Vaults are a freaking problem right now. I wonder if they got the frame keyword. I might have to look at their faction pack. So, guys, just bear with me for a second because I need to look at their faction pack because I want to see if they fix the Tesseract Vault. I want to make I'm really curious about that. Here, let's do that now. Where are my Necrons? Necrons. Here we go. All right. Boom. Pantheon of Well. I don't want to look at any of those. Faction packs. Oh, okay. All right, so they had a lot of changes. Holy crap. Data sheets. Annihilation Barb, Convergence, Dominion, Doomsayer, Ghost Art, Monolith, Obelisk, Seraptic, Tesseract. Okay, good. It does have frame. Bless. All right, good. Okay. That was really what I was concerned about. There's other stuff in here. We'll go through that another time, but I just wanted to make sure Tesseract Vault does, in fact, have frame, and it does. That's good, because that was going to be an issue. All right, so Tesseract Vault, King went up. Everything else basically stays the same. I think that's... Necrons were feeling amazing, and now they're still feeling really good. The army's cost probably went up by, what, 40 points? Like, they can absorb that. That's not a problem. Necron players probably feel really good. And then, lads, in the chat, someone in the chat, give me a wah. Everyone out there, just give me the wah. I need to hear it. Feed me the wah as we're playing. It is time for the boys. Let's do the orcs. I need your passion. Fuel me with the orcs. All right, here we go. The Big Mac Docker Egg went from 100 to 115. I honestly think we got off light. The Docker Egg probably should have gone to 120, maybe 125. At 115, he's a bargain. I'm still probably taking 2. He's incredible. But that's good. He needed to go up. And then they also updated requisition thresholds. What was requisition thresholds? I don't actually remember what that is. All right, hold on. I got to look that up. What the heck is requisition thresholds? I'm an orc channel, guys. You know I'm going to spend a lower time in orcs. Yes, I'm biased. That's fine. I do not know what requisition thresholds is. What? Does anybody know what that means? I have no idea what requisition thresholds means. Okay, Big Mick with Shock Attack Gun, 80 points, that's fine. Boys went back up in cost for the 20-man blobs. Perfectly reasonable. Honestly, I thought they were going to go back up to 170, up to 160. this might be the sweet spot, and then they went up even more if you're taking more than 4 units. So this would be a targeted nerf to Green Tide. This is just making the squad honestly a little bit more reasonable. It was dirt cheap at 150. Gretchen, this is hilarious. 10 Gretchen, 1 Herd, 10 Grots, blah blah blah, all those things. Okay. Okay. Mech up by 10 points. That's fine. Pain Boss up, Pain Boy up. Both of these make perfect sense. War Boss went up by 10. And War Boss goes up by 10, making a lot of sense because let me tell you, one of my new favorite units for the Orcs is the new solo War Boss with the custom Choppa. That dude slaps for 85. If I could take him by himself at 75 points, I'd be yeeting him out of transports and just going and murking units by themselves in the WoW. At 85, I'm maybe a little less likely to do that, but he's still very, very interesting. Truck went down by 10 points. This is probably really, really good, but definitely needed to happen because trucks were too expensive. And then we look at all the detachments. Equatorial Hordes is Disruption. This is the one that gives us scouts. That gives us scout on all the boys hordes. Now, I can tell you right off the rip, one of the stronger armies in the game is going to be Equatorial Hordes combined with Freebooter Crew. It's just going to be brutal. In that detachment, you can guarantee Gaz goes 18 to 20 inches in the first turn, which is very, very brutal. I'm not necessarily saying that's always the correct move, but you can guarantee it, which is very powerful. Now, this was a huge change. They made Green Tide go up to 3DP. Honestly, Green Tide going to 3DP, so they can't combine it with anything, and then you stack it with more expensive War Bosses, more expensive Pain Boys, and more expensive Boy Squads. You basically have seriously slapped Green Tide, because each one of those units has now gone up in cost by 30 to 40 points. That is a huge amount of points on these units. And boys have also lost the ability to take 2 leaders. So now they only take 1 leader. So it's now just 1 leader and 1 support. So Green Tide has gotten the naughty slap. So just be aware of that. Honestly, I'm sold on Warhorde. I think Warhorde is top. My Warhorde list, I think, went up by 30 points. Yeah, I'll take that any day. I probably could have absorbed 100 points. I think Orcs got off too light. They probably should have gotten hit a little bit more. But for the most part, I would probably say the reason why GW didn't go too hard here is because Orcs got a codex coming out in like 2 to 3 weeks. So they probably just didn't bother with it too much. Green Tide, which was the biggest problem, has been severely slapped. So I think we're definitely going to see a shift in the meta with that, which is good because it was a little too much. I'm still probably on Warhorde, but Freebooter Crew plus Equatorial with a 6-inch scout move on your boy squads is something. It's not nothing. So keep that in mind. All right, Orcs, they feel great. I feel awesome about it. I don't mind that I got nerfed at all. I think I should have gotten nerfed a little bit more. Wazdaka Gutsmech, he also got an update to his ability. He can now deep strike in turn 1 if he started on the board. He cannot use that ability to rapid ingress in turn 1. And I'll just read it to you why. So, in your command phase, if this unit is unengaged, you can use this ability. If you do, you put it into strategic reserves, and then he can make an ingress in your next movement phase, including your first turn. So he can, in fact, do his teleport in turn 1, but that doesn't allow him to rapid ingress in turn 1, because it says you can do an ingress in your next movement phase. Your next movement phase, if you go first, is that same turn. But if you save him, you try to rapid ingress him into your opponent's turn, that wouldn't be your next movement phase. So it still won't allow a turn 1 rapid, but it does allow for a turn 1 teleport, which is good. So Wazdaka feels great. So yeah, Orcs feel honestly quite good. They fixed the broken Green Tide detachment stratagem, the one that would allow you to blood surge before your opponent actually shot you. So that has been fixed. So Green Tide's been very significantly nerfed here. I think that's very, very good. Very importantly, the Crushing Impact stratagem is now named Crushing Impact. That's the most important update that GW could have ever added in. Bless you. I actually love that. It makes me laugh really hard they thought to do that. Battle Wagon, Stompa, and Truck now have frame. Stompa with frame is really interesting, man. Really, really interesting. And they have gone ahead and updated the boys kit. So now all boys have shooters. And you have lost the ability to double lead. So that's the thing. And in addition to that, they just clarified Boston Croc can, in fact, teleport in turn 1. And then just a couple other like quality of life improvements. But and they added the custom Choppa to the War Boss. So now he has Cleave 1 on his Choppa, 6 attacks base, Strength 8. So he's that's quite good. Yep. Okay. And that's Orcs, guys. Orcs feel great. If you like orcs, let me know, because I like orcs. Yeah, leave that shit. Okay, let's get back to the points. We're on to the Marines. Now, we've seen the Marines points kind of previewed, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit more in depth right now. Okay, let's take a look. All right, we have aggressors that went down. This is interesting for me, especially in like Ceramite Sentinels. And it's also very, very interesting for me in a couple other detachments. I think Dark Angels really like the fact that aggressors went down. Potentially even Blood Angels as well. Okay. Let's see. Drop pod going down by 10, like I said, kind of it makes taking a Stern Guard unit interesting in most attachments where you can't get them deep strike. At 60 points, drop pods are starting. I'm actually starting to consider them. Doesn't mean I'm taking them. It just means I'm starting to consider them. Eradicators with heavy bolters went up by 10. Super, super reasonable. Infernus, Inceptors. Inceptors going up is a little bit of a surprise. I didn't actually expect to see Inceptors going up, but I think I kind of understand it because the 6-inch deep strike is just so much more powerful in the new edition. Since objectives are so much bigger, it tends to be pretty easy to deep strike onto the same objective as people are on. So I think I understand that. Librarians went up. That's how they're kind of balancing Librarius. Seems reasonable. Lieutenant with Combi went up by 10. If you guys are a Marine player, just hear me out. You don't ever really need to take the LT with Combi weapon anymore. Just take a lone Gravis Captain. In the new edition, you can have a lone infantry character model, and he can effectively have lone op just by getting gone to ground. Do it with a Gravis Captain. He's cheaper. He's going to be significantly more durable. He's going to force your opponent to overcommit even more. You'll thank me later. It's so much easier to do it with a Gravis Captain than it is with a Combo Lieutenant now. The Rep X in general went up. Okay, so the Rep X hit absolutely everyone. It wasn't just Black Templars. That should make people feel a little bit better. Okay. Stern Guard Veterans went up by 10. That seems fine. Hammer Stripe Suppressors go up. So Marines got no points buffs, right? Like, I don't think we got a single point except for the Drop Pod and the Aggressor. Drop Pod and Aggressors. All right. I know Marines have been feeling really good in general, so I'm maybe not this super surprised by that. Let's look at all the unique characters models. I don't see any points changes on any of these. Ultramarines got slapped again. Oof. Woof. Oh my gosh. Dude, GW hates Ultramarines this edition. One of the things that I think is what really strong about I thought one of the strongest attachments of the game was Reclamation Task Force. Getting slapped again really hurts. I think it's still good, but my gosh. Just nerf after nerf to the Ultramarines. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's see. Ronus. Yeah, man, Gravis, you just use no go to ground is no longer a stratagem. Go to ground is a rule that applies when you are hidden and partially obscured by a solid terrain piece. So that's how you get gone to ground in this edition. It subtracts 3 from your detection range, so effectively gives you the lone op. First company task force being purged is absolutely hilarious. Okay. I don't think I'm ever taking that, but fair play. Unless they changed other rules. We can look at the facts pack maybe. But I gotta go to work in about 25 minutes, so I'm gonna need a slight break. So I don't know if I'll have time to go through the faction pack on this video. Blade of Ultramar, okay. Armor of Antonius went up. That was the same thing for Gladius. Emperor's Shield is now purged. That's interesting. Hammer of Averni is now purged. Okay, I'm not sure I like that. I really liked Hammer of Averni in priority assets. Forge Father Seekers is now priority assets and no longer purge. That's probably a buff for Forge Father Seekers, to be honest with you. Headhunters was always. Ironstorm is now taking hold. Okay. This is a big shakeup. This is actually a very big shakeup here. I really like Shadowmark Talon combined with Vengeful Host. This, I think, is my favorite combination for Marines right now. Shadowmark Talon in Raven Wing, or in Raven Guard, combined with Vengeful Host, which is the new jump pack detachment. I think I love it. I think I'm absolutely in love with the way that works. So, and being able to get taken hold on that army is actually very interesting because it's just so much stronger than Disruption. Yeah, so I really do, in fact, kind of love that combination. All right, this is fascinating, man. We'll have to wait and see how all this shakes out. I honestly think Hammer of Averni got weaker. They really wanted to be priority assets. Forge Father Seekers honestly probably got stronger by being priority assets. We'll see how that shakes out. What are you guys' thoughts? What do you think? Yeah, and GW has succeeded. They are definitely not the by default obvious choice because they are weaker. Yep. Okay. All right. Just a few more options. We have Space Wolves. Now I hope Space Wolves got some love. Okay, they did. Good. 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 Space Wolves needed some love. This makes me happy. Arjak went down by 10. Perfect. Iron Priest, Njal, Logan went down by 10. Ragnar went down by 10. So right here, these three, that's like a 30 points cheaper on your army. I like it. That's good. That's necessary. Wolfguard Terminators only went up in the third with the third unit. That's perfect. Honestly, yeah, 300 points for a 10-man. It's bonkers. It's very, very good. Wolf Scouts went down slightly. Okay. Um, okay. All right. Characters that gets you like 30 points. That's relevant. 30 points is relevant. Okay, let's keep going down and let's just look at what their detachments, if anything changed. Champions of Fenris, that's fine. No. Legends is taking hold still. That's good. We love this. Saga is taking hold. Leader Wolfguards, Terminators. So I'll have to check see what this actually means. I want to look in the faction pack. All right. I gotta see here real quick. I want to see if they updated it so that characters can actually lead their Wolfguard Terminators. Because I think the biggest weakness that Space Wolf have is that normal characters can't lead their units. And if they change that, then that would be awesome. I think that would just fix everything. Let me just read this real fast. Nah, they're not going to update that, unfortunately. Nah, they're not going to update that. Oh well, say la vie. They got some decent points cost help there, so we'll see if that is enough. I mean, I tend to think it's not. Now this is the big one. This is these next two are the two important that I need to talk to besides the orcs, because orcs, Tau, and T-Suns are like just clearly the strongest armies in my opinion. And Tau really didn't get any points consideration. I mean, they did a little bit, but not much. So Broadside's the third model, which you never saw practically. Commander Farsight going down in points cost actually just blows my mind. He was already dirt cheap. Hammerhead, Ghostkeel slightly up on the third units and stuff. Pathfinder up by 5 points, whatever. Riptide up by 10, okay, fine. And then an extra 5 points per Ion. Storm Surge, Twin Lance went up by 15, which I think is very relevant. The Crisis Suits weren't touched at all. This is the one that I think changes everything. Ret Cadre is now 3DP. That's a big shift. That's a huge shift for the Tau. This being 3DP means that you cannot combine it with the Aux or the Advanced Acquisition Cadre. And I think that is probably the best thing that GW could have done, and I'm really happy they did it. So they didn't annihilate Tau, which is great. They actually did it through detachment points. I love this. I absolutely love this. Big fan of it. Montcal's also now priority asset, so it's no longer the same problem with Purge. Yeah, I think it just shows real maturity in the way that GW is approaching balance. I love it. I'm such a big fan of this. Makes awesome to me. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay, so let's talk about T-Suns, because I think T-Suns were probably the only army in the game that actually caught the people's elbow. like, all right, man. The figure 4 lock was thrown upon these nerds. Annihilator, Destructor went up. Rhino obviously down. Whatever. Defiler went up just like everyone else's Defiler, which is good. Then the Forge Fiend got 5 points per ectoplasm, which is interesting. Scarab Occult Terminators went up because they're freaking amazing. Your third Sorcerer went up. Okay, doesn't really matter because you just take 2 now. No big deal. Sekitar Robots went up by a relatively significant amount if you want the 4-mans. It's negligible if you just wanted the 2-mans. Zangor Enlightened went up by 5 points. That's fine. They were too cheap. Zangor Shaman went up by 5 points. That's too cheap. Kairos and Lord of Change, we've already spoken about. In Demons, they went up. And then the big one here, once again, I love it. Hexworld Thrallbane is now 3DP. It's no longer 2DP, so you can't combine this with the Sekitar Robot detachment to make the Sekitar Robots brutal with psychic attacks and +1 to wound. There you have it. And that, honestly, is probably the best change that they could have possibly done. So it's just a great way of balancing. The dispositions was such a smart move for them. We got 2 more. Let's quickly go through these guys. All right, here it is. Maliceptor went up. That's fine. Neurotyrant went up. That's a little surprising to me. Toxicrin went down. Guys, it's the age of the Toxicrin. Move, play them. Play all the Toxicrins you possibly can. Von Ryan Leapers down. Zone Throps went down. And a 3-man squad. That's fine. No one's ever taken 3-mans anyway. And let's see if they changed any of this stuff. All of the detachments look the same. Honestly, this looks generally fine to me. Very light nerf on key units. But, like, honestly, you can easily build armies with NIDs that have effectively 0 change. That looks totally fine to me. Do you guys see any issues with NIDs? Because I'm not sure I see any issue there at all. And once again, there could be faction pack changes, but I'll cover those in separate videos. I just don't have like a 4-hour stream in me right now. All right, Angry Ron, down by 20. Oof, for World Eaters, down by 20. I have to see this. I actually do have to see this one. World Eaters, where are you? I can't just see that. There's no way like he didn't get changes and he went down by 20, right? Because he's actually really good at that point. Where's the Angry Ron? Oh, that's a really big change for Demonkin. Okay. Okay, so no changes for Angron, huh? Angron just went down by 20. Cool. Guys, run Angron. I hope we see him on the table. We should see him on the table. He's awesome. He gets like at 330 points. That's a very reasonably costed model. Terminators go down for them. I think it's time for us to see more Chaos Terminators as well. That's great. 8-bound went down. Oh my gosh, World Eaters got so many points. Oh my god. Oh, World Eaters. World Eater players. Oh my gosh. Down by 10 points for 10. Down by 15 for 20. Lauren Juggernaut went down a little bit. Avocado went down. Mauler Fiends went... No, okay, very, very minimally down. Fair play. Forge Fiend went down significantly. He should, because he's terrible now. At 140, he might be actually kind of interesting to me. 8-bound... I can't... Dude, 8-bound and down, apparently. These guys went down by a significant amount of points, as did the X-bound. And remember, 6-man X-bound in Deep Strike with rapid ingressing combined with Gone to Ground is disgusting. So this is significant. Wow. World Eater players probably should be pretty happy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and now they can get taken hold by adding Butchers of Corn on anything. That's cool. That's real cool. Man, I like this. I'm excited to cook with some of my World Eater clients, man. This is awesome. You guys have a lot of options here now. Very, very interesting. Guys, what do you think? I mean, we're basically at the end of the points. I mean, we have faction packs, but like I said, I'll have to do that separately because I gotta go to work here. I got clients coming up. What do you think about this? About the way that GW balances this? Because honestly, I think it's great. I think all of the top dogs got knocked down. I mean, like I said, I think Orcs probably should have been hit a little bit harder. Tau maybe a little bit harder as well. But I also don't mind because GW is saying, hey, we're going to go with softer gloves now because we don't need to nuke people from orbit. Let's see what some of these more subtle things do. So we'll see that. Oh, we got a question from Mr. Big Ron. He has been a member of the Grots and Gets for 3 months. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel. I really, really appreciate you. And he wants to know, what do I think of Hammer of Averni going to Purge and lane speeders going up? So I don't care about lane speeders at all. I don't think they have any profound impact upon the meta. I know they're annoying to play against, but I think it's fine that they're annoying to play against. Hammer of Averni going to Purge, I think is a bit of a nerf to Hammer of Averni. That army has a really, really hard time getting into their opponents early. Now, if you take Hammer with an Eversor Assassin, now we're talking. Because the Eversor Assassin kind of solves that problem for you for your turn 1 kill. But yeah, I think that's a bit of an issue. So I think Hammer might have gotten a little bit weaker, which is sad for me because I love Hammer. But I don't think it means they're unplayable by any means. I just think it maybe a little weaker, right? Yeah. So there it is. looking forward to seeing how everything goes, guys. I'm going to run because I got some clients to catch up with. I love you all. If you need anything from me, you can find my services in the description down below, or you can join as a member of the Discord, and we can be best friends forever. You know, unless you're like the guy who was a dick and I had to ban the other day because he was just being a dick in the Discord. But anyway, I love you. Have a great day. Crop on. Bye-bye.